Okay, welcome everybody. David Kennedy is not able to be here today online, so I'm standing in for him, but that means I get the pleasure of introducing our speaker today, who is Yibei Chen. And she is currently a postdoctoral fellow at MIT working with Dr. Ghosh. She is also a recent alum of our ReproNim INCF fellowship program. And I would say she's actually very versatile. She's a computational enthusiast. She works in large, deep data sets and open science projects, and she's doing a lot of work with naturalistic data. So she has all kinds of interesting things to tell us, but she's going to talk today about ReproSchema, and I will let her tell the story. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Julie, and hello to everyone. So it's my pleasure to present ReproSchema on behalf of my advisor and the collaborators, co-authors on this project. So as you can see from the title, right, ReproSchema, we're trying to enhance research reproducibility. So it's a tool. When we have a tool, usually indicates there are some problems we need to fix. So today's talk, we're gonna I walk you through what is the problem and what might be a solution, and then we'll talk about what ReproSchema is, and then I will show you some use cases about ReproSchema. Later, we'll briefly touch on future directions. So here it is. So first, why do we need? Okay. So first, what is the problem here? Most of you are probably familiar with this figure. It's a typical the figure about talking about reproducibility in doing neuroimaging study. So you collect the data, MRI data, you analyze the data, and then share the data. So each of those steps matters. So in terms of producing reproducible result. And today we're focusing on this small part. So it's small in this figure, but it's not trivial like in a whole research project. When you collect neuroimaging data, you usually need to collect some cognitive assessments or behavior data, and it involves questionnaires and surveys. And then usually this type of data will have you collect those assessments, for example, like something like anxiety, especially, we're talking, if you think about things in clinical mental health settings, and that anxiety, bipolar, this kind of assessments, you have different data collection tools like MindLogger from Child Mind Institute, and then RedCap is something widely used in mental health data collection, and we also have NIH Toolbox. Usually the procedure is like you collect data using those platforms on these assessments, and then you submit the data either to NIMH or OpenNeuro and these kind of things. So the thing is like the assessments, some of those assessments, they're like public or they're proprietary, and then you collect the data within the lab, or you collaborate across lab. This is a typical like PDF version of the assessment. And then because things can change, so the problem here is like sometimes you have inconsistent assessments like between different research teams, or even within research team across different time when you collect the things, right? So how this kind of like inconsistent assessments, how it happens. So usually I just mentioned like within the team across time or with different teams, there are different version changes of the assessment. And sometimes if the specific person in the team, they're responsible for data collection, they have this unique knowledge within their head, if they leave the lab, and the knowledge probably just go with them. And then there are many varied standards or formats and ontologies to measure like the same thing. They may have different names, and then the same concept, they may be operationalized in different ways. So and also data like across data sets is slightly variation the data usually are not, so if you don't know which part varies, which part changes, and then it's hard to harmonize data across data sets. And then sometimes the change of the protocol or the assessment can lead to data loss. If you add a question, if you drop the question, and then how to deal with this kind of the data point before the change or after the change, right? And also, there is no if there is no reusable library or public collection of assessments, and then because we have different tools for data collection, it's kind of like every time you switch from one platform to another platform, or you want to incorporate data from different platforms, those differences naturally inherited within those platforms can cause variations. And on the other hand, similarly, so for example, if because scientific research will progress, and then the assessment, the nature of the assessment can, things can change. Like 5 years ago or 10 years ago, things were measured in this way, but as other research has proved something, so the assessments may change as the domain evolves. And on the other hand, later we'll talk about there are things required for for specific type of data collection. For example, mental health, NIMH, they require there is a minimum set of data collection for all mental health research. You have to collect the data for this specific questionnaires, and then it's required for all research, but that means different research teams, they need to use the same tool to collect the same. They need to use the same questionnaire to collect the same set of data. It's kind of like put repetitive effort to do things. Then they create it in their own way, so can cause some variations. So we talk about the problem and how the problem happened, and then what are the consequences? Is this like a very serious problem? The answer is yes. So because we're mostly talking about things in the clinical mental health, biomedical, setting. So if you have variations in assessment, it will lead to the variations in results, right? And then because it's used in the clinical setting, psychiatrists, the doctors, they made their treatment plans based on the result. So the variations in results will lead to different treatment paths. And then the treatment will be used by a patient, will be applied to patients. So it will lead to divergent patient outcomes. So that's the clinical setting. On the other hand, the research part. So first, the research and the clinical setting, they are connected with each other. Like the result from the research will be used for psychiatrists, right? So the misleading results can impact the efficacy of treatment or interventions. On the other hand, because the data, even the same, so for example, the same set of data, they were collected with varied assessments. It will lead to incompatible data, like aggregation across those different studies. So this will bring biases into meta-analysis, which the meta-analysis is usually like very important. So it summarizes what has been done and then kind of provide guidance for what we're gonna do in the future. Okay, so here's the consequences. Here is a problem, and then here's consequences. It's not like we are the first person notice this problem, right? There are efforts have been made on this issue too. So for example, cognitive atlas and cognitive paradigm and ontology. So they standardize terminologies and relationships linked to human cognitions. For example, those are very pioneer tools. Like I think they first started 10 years ago or even earlier. But the thing is, like they focus on ontological classification. you can think about it at a higher level, or you can think about it as a fundamental level. They don't specifically apply to the assessments, the questionnaires we use in our research directly. And then we have this NIMH and NIH common data elements. So common data elements, so they create data elements linked to questionnaire items, and then they try to standardize them and then provide instructions on how you should calculate the scores. So here is this is left. The left part, this one is NIMH, and this one is the NIH one. So later we will talk in our use cases, we'll focus on the NIMH. This is the minimum requirement for mental health data collection. But the thing with those two is like, so NIMH, they only provide a minimum set of it. And then for NIH, they do provide like more individual forms, and then they also keep them updated. The thing is like, you only know things, oh, this is the updated version, and then what time, what date. But the older version, not traceable. And then it's hard to imagine all of the changes within like the whole picture. And the last we have CDA and bio schemas. So CDA is the Center for Extended Data Annotation and Retrieval. So our ReproSchema also adopted the model from CDA. And then bioschema is something very, very new. They came out last year or 2 years ago, but we started ReproSchema like 5 years ago. At that time, we don't there were not that many. They basically no data collection and these kind of tools around 5 years ago. So we talked about the problem, inconsistent and not traceable assessments, and then we talk about the consequence about it, and then what the effort what are those efforts have been made, and then so what might be the solution to the problem, right? So we want something like what? So we want something first, obviously, consistent, traceable, like assessments across time. So we want it to be like very easy, ready to implement, adopt in our research projects, right? And we also want like things can be compatible with other other formats, because there are so many platforms outside, and each of those research teams, they can choose whatever they want. But in the end, when we want to collaborate, aggregate data across teams, we want something to be compatible and convertible. And also, we want things to be reusable across teams and over time. So here comes our ReproSchema. So look at the name ReproSchema. Yeah, reproducible schema, right? It defines the creation and usage of assessments in a very standardized way. It provides a template, and then it integrates Git, as we know, probably one of the mostly used version control system. So it makes everything traceable, and then it provides tools and then to allow us dissemination across research projects and teams. And also it can facilitate transition from data collection to post-data standardization. Okay, so I know we had this 4-point bullet point about what ReproSchema is, but it can be still like very abstract. So we're gonna talk about ReproSchema in a very detailed way. I'm gonna introduce you 5 components of ReproSchema and walk you through one by one. What are those? So the first one is, okay, so think about this way. So ReproSchema, the uppercase, ReproSchema, is like a whole project, or you can think about it as a small ecosystem within the ecosystem of ReproNim. And then when I talk about the specific ReproSchema, it's the one GitHub repository within this large project. So here it defines so this is the ReproSchema part. The schema part looks like on GitHub, and then it defines the structure for everything, the central framework for everything within this whole big project. So it's a schema for organizing data. So I use a quotation mark for data here. Data is not only the type of data we collect from participants. So everything, if you want to think about it, everything can be data, like your assessment, your questionnaires, like each question in this questionnaire, there can be data too. So this central framework, ReproSchema, defines the structure, what to be asked, in what order, and how to be asked, and then how things should be grouped together. And also it provides the metadata, like the question text, like the response options, and then like response option, either it's a binary or Likert scale or something, a data type, whether it's like a string, you type your feedback here or type your answer here, or it's integer, like so those are different data types. And then visibility of the question, or even visibility of each questionnaire, depends on, like, it's like the branching logic, right? So, and also ReproSchema supports multi-language. So for example, English and Spanish, and then you can add whatever language you want, like for those like cross-country collaboration, you may need like multi-languages to be supported in your data collection, right? Okay, and importantly, ReproSchema, how we can do like cross-project and cross-platform harmonization. So we integrate with like established standards. The first one, if you don't know about schema.org, so it's like it defines the basic structure of everything, not everything, basic structure of things we see on the internet. And then the bioschema we saw in previous slides, they also align with schema.org. And then because ReproSchema was originally developed within this neuroscience context, so we are compatible with the neuroimaging data model. So it helps things to be easily harmonized when you want to combine, when you collect data, cognitive assessment data with the fMRI data or other neuroimaging type of data together, and then later you want to open your data, share your data openly on OpenNeuro or something. So ReproSchema can help you facilitate the sharing part and make everything smoothly integrated with the neuroimaging part. And later we use linked ML to model our data and make the validation and creation, everything smoothly. And then, so the previous part probably be like more technical, and as a researcher, if you want to use ReproSchema, here is the part you are probably most interested about. So ReproSchema defines a nested structure. Think about the questionnaire, right? The questionnaire is at the second level here. It's like, so we call it activity in ReproSchema. And then each question on the questionnaire is an item in ReproSchema. So that's the first level. And later, in your project, you may have like 5 questionnaires together, right? So your project is a protocol, and then these 5 questionnaires together, we will combine it into, you will have a schema for this protocol that contains information for each of those 5 activities. So it's a nested structure. Okay, so this these slides will help you understand it better. Think about it this way. So at the top, you have the protocol, and within the protocol, you have the activity, and then within the activity, you have items. So later, I'll show you the user interface of ReproSchema. But basically, if you think about the whole thing, this protocol together, right? This is one protocol, and then it contains multiple activities like screening and consent and voice health, something like that. So this is the ReproSchema, how you are see the, like how you collect data using it. And then in the middle is the conceptualization of everything in ReproSchema. So how it mapped to the typical questionnaires we usually see like in research, right? So this one on the left side, the whole thing is one questionnaire. And then you can see the red map to, it's here. So this is a map corresponding to activity here. And then you have each of those 10 questions, right? So each of them is an item. And then here you have the defined response. So it corresponding to the response options. And then if it, in a paper, pencil, word, and then your participant will circle this one, they choose this one as their result. So that's their response. So this part, that's the data. And then how we defined it and then how things change it, that's the provenance part. So this is the conceptual, this is kind of like schematic demonstration of what ReproSchema is. And then next, we're gonna move to ReproSchema library. So previous slides, we talked about there is, so no reusable library of assessments can, actually cause, contribute its parts to the inconsistent assessment problem. So here is our ReproSchema library. I have it here too, right? So this is our repository. You can see the GitHub repository, right? So here is our repository. And then, so if you go to the activity, so here is the activity folder. Activities folder, it contains all the assessments we have converted from many other projects, for example, the ABCD project and Healthy Brain Network project too. So in total, we have 87, currently we have 87 activities. It's 87 questionnaires assessments. And for at the item level, question level, we have 4,555 items at this moment. And there are still others in progress to be converted here. Let's take a look at the first one, right? So if you go to this folder, and then you will find the schema of this activity. So remember, we have the 3-level structured. So the schema of this activity is the 2nd level. I can go here. We can go here. So you can see this is items, and then that's the question level. This is the questionnaire schema. So you can see there are 1 to 10 questions, items defined in this questionnaire. Okay. Like here. And then if we go to this first question, and then you will see something like this. And then you probably have noticed that the upper part, the header part, they are similar. So this is a schema at the 2nd level for the questionnaire. This is a schema at the 1st level at the for the item. So they have shared like the head, and that's how the meta schema is, the ReproSchema is. They defined everything in this structure. Okay. And then also here is something called response options. So we use so here you can define the response, how you want the response to be like for those questions, because there are 10 questions in this questionnaire, and then they have the same type of response choice. So we just made the response file outside, and then each of those questions can, cite it. So in this case, we have like the choice, and then it's binary 0, 1, no, yes. So that's how schema look like at the item level, and then at the activity level. We will show you like at the protocol level later. But so we kind of by providing, the library of a collection of assessments, we kind of like, okay, so if people needs to use assessments, they can all come here and then make sure things are consistent. But there is a second part. We talked about consistent and traceable, how to make sure things are traceable. Every time you change something, how you know what the change has been made and when, And then so here is how GitHub, how GitHub use Git to do version control. If you're not familiar with Git, I just give you a quick demonstration here. So you see, so here is the change I made 7 months ago. And then on the GitHub, you can see this part is the Git commit. It's a unique identifier for the change I have made. And then if you click here, you will see something like this. Oh, so here is all the history. And then here's a commit detail. If you go there, you will see what kind of changes I made for the files. So it'll look like this. And then at the top, this URL is unique for this specific change here. And then you can always go back to this version using this URL unless you delete the whole commit. And then here is the thing. So GitHub can tell you, okay, comparing to like the previous version, what kind of change has been made, what kind of things I deleted or I added. So that's how we make things traceable. You can always go back to see the change. We will have we have two use cases talking about this kind of traceability. Yes. Okay. So that's ReproSchema library, and then we're going to talk about tools. So we have the schema structure template defined, and then we have the assessments. So how things operate, right? The tools, what does our tool do, right? So first, because we have the schema, we have the structure, you want to make sure like every new schema created based on the ReproSchema, the meta schema, is validated. So we help you like validate the new schema, and we also help validate updated schema, because you may want to update some of your some parts. So on one hand, you will update your like project assessments. On the other hand, like ReproSchema, they also update themselves. So trying to make sure everything is compatible, and then so this is what we do. And also, as we mentioned before, saying like data collection, right? Like REDCap, for example, REDCap is like widely used in clinical settings, and then there are many cases we need to convert REDCap from convert something from REDCap to another things, or vice versa. And then ReproSchema provides this tool to help you convert REDCap format of your questionnaire and then to the structured ReproSchema format. So in our library, this is our repository, and then it provides the Python tool and a command line tool to help you to do the conversion and validation. And we will soon have a new release with the latest implementation with LinkML and Pydantic. So it will come soon, hopefully this month, not this week. Okay, so we talk about the schema, library, and the tools, but everything looks like it's from a developer, perspective, how you do things. So how can we use it? Like we cannot just give our code to participants. How we're gonna use it in our research? How we're gonna collect data? We need something like human readable, not machine readable, right? Okay, so we have this UI. And then here is a screenshot about kind of things we support in this UI. So you can see this is an interactive platform. And then you can, so on the left, it's a list. So what kind of things you can do with our UI? You can upload document. You can also check, your headphones, whether it's connected for especially if you want to record like a voice or something like that. So those are one of those things we support. And then I'm gonna show you this, give you an example of this demo protocol thing. So on the side, 1, 2, 3, we have like 6 activities. So here I'm gonna show you how we can link the machine readable thing to the UI. So for example, in your repository, later you will see how you're gonna create a repository with, for example, in your project, there are like 6 assessments, 6 questionnaires. They will map to everything listed here. And then let's take a look at the demographics, right? So the machine readable part is like this. And then you define your schema of this activity like this one. And then let's take a look at those 3 questions. What you will see in the UI would be things like this. Okay, your year of birth, and then your sex and the gender identity. So this is how, it's just like a regular survey platform, but it's supported by the structured schema. So this is the UI thing. Okay, so we talked about the structure, the library, Python tools, and the UI. And then the next question is, as a user, as a as a researcher, okay, if you want to use it, is there like a convenient way for you just adopt it and use it in your lab? And yes, we do. So we have this cookie cutter. What is a cookie cutter? It's a template, right? And then what does it do is like, it helps you create your own research protocol. So on a repository, we provide these step-by-step instructions, and you can also find instructions on the ReproSchema, the main documentation. So basically, first it tells you how to generate files for a protocol, and then so it will prompt you questions, and then you just type those like things, and then also those things you can always change them later, right? So the first step, you generate files like locally, and then second step, it will help you. It will tell you how to create a GitHub repository in the cloud, and then you have to link those 2 things together. And then later we talk about on the one hand, you want to update your project and assessments. On the other hand, ReproSchema itself, there will be we will have updates too. So make sure your protocol is keep updated in line with ReproSchema and everything. So, and also we have GitHub action implemented in the automatically generated research protocol. So the tools we mentioned before, like the validation tools, it will do it work automatically for you, right? You don't have to manually do many those kind of things. Okay, so again, this is the output of if you use the cookie cutter, you will get something look like this. And then all the elements here are editable, so you can change it to whatever you want. Okay, so here is a intermediate take-home message. Let's just recap those 5 components. So for ReproSchema, the schema itself is a structured framework compatible with the mainstream data sharing formats. And then ReproSchema library is a comprehensive collection of assessments ready to use. And then ReproSchema Pi, those are the tools for validation and conversion. And later UI brings machine readable context to interactive human readable interface. And in the end, we have this all-in-one toolkit, creating a consistent and traceable research protocol. Okay, so here those are the so those are kind of like an introduction or explanation of the whole ReproSchema project, to help you get a better sense of when and how you want to use ReproSchema in your research, in your lab. Here I provide like 4 use cases. So they are like healthy brain and child development. And then second is like the bridge to AI voice. And then we maybe some of you are familiar with this one, best practice in data analysis and sharing neuroimaging using MRI. This is a commentary published in Nature Neuroscience. Yes, 7 years ago. Later, remember we keep talking about NIMH common data elements. So I will show you how we use ReproSchema for that one. Okay. So first, let's talk about HBCD. HBCD is a longitudinal study. So here, those are the 3 visits listed on their official website. It spans from prenatal pregnancy to like early childhood early childhood time. That's like almost 2 years minimum. So what are the challenges in this kind of like longitudinal study? Okay, there are many. There are frequent questionnaire updates. For example, even if they did like a pilot study to test their questionnaires, but they have like hundreds. I think they have like 30. Around 30 questionnaires within the whole research protocol. It's hard for them to like identify like every single like typo. So sometimes in the middle of like the data collection, they'll find, oh, actually there's a typo in the question. So that will be actually the minimal error. But there are other things. For example, I talked to people who work on HBCD. They told me, sometimes the data, for example, a variable, it was originally collected as a Likert scale, like from 1 to 7. And later, like the research team decided, okay, so the 1 to 7 Likert scale doesn't actually make sense. So we probably need to change it to binary 0 to 1, right? So you just made the change in the data collection, which looks easy, but later when you release the data and other people, they use the data, they're gonna analyze the data. So they look at why the same question, like the first in the first set of data collection, or in the data collection this. So I also need to tell you, so there are like this is a multi-site, probably 20 sites like involved in data collection, and then so the consistency in this the changes in the assessment leads to the inconsistency in data records, and later when other researchers, they need to analyze the data, it will bring like a very important question, like for them to decide, should I drop this set of data? How should I convert the data? Should I just convert the Likert into a binary directly, or should I just treat it as missing value or something? So those are the important questions scientists need to think about when they do data analysis. So here comes ReproSchema, how we can help, like, because the questionnaire updates, those are the kind of things like inevitable, it happens naturally, and then so the inconsistency is they are there, and then how can we help data analysis to be like more reproducible? So we have this git tag function, not a function anyway. So it's something like so here is how HBCD 3 visits protocol, and the data is currently collected through REDCap, and we first use the conversion tool convert like each version of REDCap. I think there are from the beginning to now there are like 10 versions has been made. 10 versions of change have been made. So we converted each version into ReproSchema from REDCap Excel. You export like the questionnaire from REDCap is an Excel file, and then you convert it to ReproSchema, and then later we tag it. So here is a HBCD schema. They contains all those different questionnaires. And then we have the tag here. So this is the November 13th version, November 3rd version, and October 18th version. And then later when HBCD, they release their data, they can link the data with each version here. So then they will say, okay, so we made the change here for this question, and here is a link how the change has been made. And then this will help scientists to do data analysis, make their decisions on how they should treat the data. So that's the example for HBCD. And then our second use case is the voice is bridge to AI. So it's voice as a biomarker for health. So for this, first, this is also a longitudinal study, and then also it involves like a huge, so it uses human voices, like from 30,000 participants, or no, not from 30,000 participants. The data is data size is like 30,000, but then it's from 5 different categories. So those are 5 cohorts of data. First, it's a longitudinal study, and then all the things you encounter in regular longitudinal study you encounter here. So that's why we also need we also use a tag system to track all the changes have been made. On the other hand, it's about health, and we have different data sets, so we need to harmonize all the data sets together into a standard called FHIR. So it's Fast Healthcare Interoperability Resource. So FHIR is FHIR is a set of rules and specifications for exchanging electronic healthcare data. So it's specifically for this one. And again, currently the data is collected through REDCap, but the REDCap format is not FHIR compatible. On the other hand, ReproSchema is FHIR compatible. So what does ReproSchema do is like we serve as a bridge to bring REDCap to FHIR. And then also we have this git tag thing for all the changes have been made. So this is the schematic thing about what ReproSchema does in this case. So you have the bridge to AI, 5 different research protocols, right? And then you collect data through REDCap, and then you convert REDCap to ReproSchema. Later you convert ReproSchema to FHIR, because REDCap data type cannot be directly converted to FHIR. Okay, so those 2 use cases are talking about how we use ReproSchema to convert, the conversion tool, and then how it works, why it's important for longitudinal study. So this one is kind of different. So this is something originally started 2016 from OHBM organization for human brain mapping, and then they're talking about how to enhance the reproducibility in neuroimaging study. So they come up with this decision. Oh, by the way, COBIDAS is CO means committee on, BIDAS is the abbreviation of best practices in data analysis and sharing. So they made a checklist. This checklist is 71 pages, PDF. It's a very comprehensive checklist, trying to make sure, okay, before you launch the study, after you launch the study, you collect the data, analyze the data, how you data sharing. Each of those steps, you want to check whether you meet the requirement or some of things you need to pay attention to. So this on one side, it's very detailed, so it's very good. If you follow everything, you make sure like so your project will be good, like in terms of reproducibility. But because it contains everything, it may be irrelevant to specific projects. Not all projects like they need all the steps here. So the information, like too much information, can be like overwhelming. So it will disengage researchers to actually do the checking thing. So one of our co-authors, Remy, and he come up with this online interactive version of checklist. So he called it eCOBIDAS. This is so he used schema, ReproSchema, convert like all the key like questions, items, activities, group them into here. So those are different activities, and then he integrated with the UI So a researcher, you can, this one has the branching logic. You don't have to go through every single questions, but your next question will based on your answer to the previous question. So everything is like more interactive and then it take like less time. So actually, we want to encourage like researchers to use this. So that's the Ecobidas thing. So this one is still in development. And then I think the next goal for Remy, he will think about, so I think he plans to have like, once you answer all the questions here, it will automatically generate like a paragraph or something. I don't know whether you know about fMRI prep. So if you use fMRI prep, then it will give you the, the well-written documentation about everything. You can directly put into your manuscript. That's the next goal for Ecobidas. And then so this one is based on the ReproSchema structure and the UI, and then it generates this interactive project. So the last project, I have been mentioning this one multiple times within the presentation. So remember, NIMH, they have these common data elements, right? And then so it says, okay, for all those who collects mental health, like clinical research, they have to collect this set of data. So the challenge here is like, first, NIMH, they want to keep things updated. So they're updated from time to time. And then it's required for like all research teams. That means over time, across teams, they may use inconsistent adoption. They will use different version, and it's hard to trace which version versus which version if someone wants to do a aggregated study for those data or meta-analysis or something. So here we use the cookie cutter I just showed you before, and then we made a project, a protocol for this specific MIH CDE. And also we adopted the branching logic here. So here you can see this is our the first side of this this UI. You will only see two questions here because the NIMH, it requires, like it says, for research participants aged 18 years older, they will have this set of questionnaires. For those who are younger, they will have a different sets. So how we achieve this? For this one, older, and then look at here. By the way, the age is in months, not in years. So if the age is older, and then you move to next, you finish the demographics part, you will see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, corresponding to 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, there is another one. Anyway, I counted this. So it will corresponding to this set of data need to be collected. And then if the age is, if the age is like younger than 18 here, and then you will get a different set. So it's this one versus this one. So those are the branching logic we used to meet the requirement for NIMH data collection. Okay. Those are the, sorry, no questions.
Oh, yes. I was just wondering if you could review how like NIMH and Ecobidas is connected to the broader ReproSchema project, or like how are they integrated?
Oh, so for the Ecobidas thing, right? So remember, so specifically, so for example, like, this is the checklist, and then they have like for example, they have the experimental design and acquisition and those different parts. And then the thing Ecobidas it does is like it uses ReproSchema as a tool, go beyond like the thing we think about cognitive assessment data collection. It just uses that tool, and then it converts all those different aspects, look at here, into a specific like questionnaire. So there is a questionnaire on experimental design, a different one for participants. Those are things. And each of them contains multiple questions. So they organize things in a ReproSchema way. Remember we talked about the 3 different levels of schema, the item, activity, and protocol level. So just organize everything into schema way, and then it uses ReproSchema, the UI, and then to make everything interactive. So you don't have to go through the PDF 71 pages one by one, but then you just do everything interactively to check whether you meet the requirement. So that's the ecobidas one. And then the NIMH one, because they requires like all the mental health researchers to collect the data on those ones. So we just make this so we make this repository, this protocol. It can be reused. You can either use it like separately, independently to collect the data, or you can integrate it with your own research project, as part of it. And then, for example, you have a let's say you have so here we have these 5, 6 questionnaires, and then you also have another set of your questionnaires in your let's say 10 questionnaires. You can combine them together. If you use ReproSchema, it'll be easy for you to combine things together. And because we talk about the traceability from Git version control, so every time NIMH they updates their recommendation, common data elements recommendation, and then we can update it in our ReproSchema library as well. So everything will be traceable, which version you used, which team used which version. And then later, if some data aggregation analysis happened, and then we can just use, those to make the analytical decision, things like that. Am I clear? Okay. You have another question? Or?
Yeah, I have one more question.
Okay.
So like say I'm a researcher who wants to use ReproSchema for a project. How would I set it up? Would I like fork the main repo and then customize it, or like?
Yeah. So that's the cookie cutter. That's the cookie cutter I just mentioned. Where is it? So yeah, we have the cookie cutter here. Sorry. Okay, here is the cookie cutter. And then if you follow the instruction here, then you can just make the protocol on your own. And then you can, that's it. So yeah, that's all about ReproSchema. And then the last, the last one will be feature directions. Okay, so there are 2 things we want to do or planning to do. Is like, first, we want to integrate participant recruitment service like Prolific and Amtech with ReproSchema. And then the second one is the semantic search. So meta search is a project, ReproNim. And then we want to integrate the semantic search with our ReproSchema library, because we have so many like assessments, and then we want to help researchers to find the one they need that suits their own research needs. So the semantic search will be super helpful. That's on our plate, so we're trying to work on it. Okay, so thank you for attending this talk, and also I want to say thank you to my co-authors. So those pictures are from GitHub, but there are other people who have contributed to the whole project. I just don't have the picture from GitHub, or they use the default, a picture, not identifiable. But thanks a lot for people, especially for those from ReproNim, helped with the project. And okay, any questions? Okay,
great. Thank you very much. Yes, questions. I know that some people may need to leave. We understand that, but questions are open if you have time. Yep.
Isaac?
Yeah. So could you just review what the relationship between ReproNim and ReproSchema is? Are they identical, or are they?
No. ReproNim. Okay, so ReproNim, ReproSchema is a project. I think ReproNim. ReproNim is the center. So ReproNim has a lot of, okay, I can show you this one. This is our ReproNim, and we have a lot of projects, and then they have the same naming convention, Repro something. So ReproSchema is just one project within, we have ReproNim, what's that? Oh, ReproSteam, yeah. And then everything. So those are different things.
I see. And ReproSchema, just to be clear, is not only for neuroimaging data.
Yeah,
It's
no, you can use it
right?
for anything. Just for example, the Yibei one, just be creative. You can use it for anything.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
You've given people a lot of things to think about.
All the comments will come, and then you can always either submit an issue. If you use it, submit the issue there. I will get a notification trying to answer your question, or you can email me. Whatever works for you.
Okay, I have another question. Like, are there any constraints? Like what are the constraints on the types of protocols you can run with ReproSchema? I guess any sort of, like, I guess you can do anything where you're doing some sort of data collection with like a form-based interface. But I guess like, I guess it's like if someone wanted to use so like, is there like, how if I wanted to use like neuroimaging data, for example, how would I do that in ReproSchema?
What do you mean you want to use? So we mentioned that ReproSchema is integrated with the neuroimaging data model too, but
okay.
Yeah, so compatible with that, I mean, you will have a different set of like things about neuroimaging MMI data. There are different things, but if you collect like survey data alongside your MMI data collection, the two can be integrated into one thing, and then for MMI data they will have this format, and then the ReproSchema we can make everything like compatible, and then later we'll, for example, submit it to like OpenNeural or Dandy or something else. Just but they are different part. So I'm not sure when you talk about neuroimaging data, what do you mean by using neuroimaging data within ReproSchema? Or
I guess what I was getting at is like, what data models, like, is the data model flexible to accommodate like an arbitrary data types, is essentially what I was trying to
arbitrary, I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah.
but for neuroimaging setting, yes, and then for the typical clinical like research, biomedical research, and then behavioral social science research, should be fine.
I guess since I'm working on Bridge to AI, I'm curious how the like acoustic features or the collection of voice data fits into the data model.
Oh, because we also define, so in our schema we defined like we can collect like a different type of data, like image, audio, video things. So those are defined, and that means ReproSchema is compatible with them. And from my experience working with Bridge to AI people at this moment, they're trying to convert everything from RedCap to ReproSchema, and then ReproSchema to file format, and then this is how it works. I think they will go from file format later.
So I wonder given these questions, I actually don't know the answer to this, but because you did show, and there are these different audio and other types of input files. So I guess for someone who doesn't actually work directly with these, is it in fact the case that this is really about the survey component, and within the survey, you actually can link to audio data, or you can link to, those would become automatically linked to the survey? Is that part of what that protocol involves?
So actually the type of data, so ReproSchema support like majority type of data, and then how you collect the data. So those are two things. We define the data type. That's one thing. Or the data type, mostly they are like compatible with ReproSchema schema. And then how we collect it, there's something related to the UI, whether the UI support the collection. That's a different thing. So if you use ReproSchema UI, yes, we support the things we defined. But ReproSchema can also convert to other format, and then later how you use it, that will, if you use it through a different platform or something, that will depends on whether that platform can support the data type. Does it help with the explanation?
They're all related, yeah.
So does REDCap support the collection of audio data? Because as far as I understand, it's all CSV based.
Oh, I don't think they support the audio data. I have a REDCap account. I checked it. I don't think they support it, but I'm not sure. I never create them. So I'm not sure about the REDCap part.
Oh, okay. So for Bridge to AI specifically, the REDCap's just used for all the non-audio, like text-based data, I'm presumably.
Technically I don't work on Bridge to AI, but
okay, yeah.
sorry about that.
Oh, good. I can ask Haley.
Yep.
Well, I think, do we have any other questions at the moment? If not, I'll say thank you very much for lots of things to think about, actually. Really appreciate you giving a talk, and I'll see you all next time on, actually, May 3rd is our next webinar. So nice to see you, and thank you very much, Yibei.